takes me back standing here. I mean, it's burnt into my memory. So we are really, really excited about this spot. We've got all of the ingredients we need to get a deer within bow range. 7 years of putting this place together and doing the tweaks. I think this is gonna be the one spot on the farm that the other spots are good. This is gonna be phenomenal. Oh God, no, that might be him. I heard one of the neighbors a little ways off hit one, a triple main beam deer, Luke's 4. He got hit on the highway over there. Inches in a bag right there. Welcome back to the show. It is June 19th today, and Drake and I are out here on the home farm doing a couple deer chores, and it is my beautiful wife's birthday today, so happy birthday to her to kind of kick it off. Kind of what we're wanting to walk you guys through today is the whole transformation of the farm, kind of from 7 years ago when Drake first got out here to today, what we would consider to be basically a finished product. And kind of talk through some of the different encounters we've had on this place and some of the decisions that have caused us to set it up the way we have right now, to the point that we think we've got it completely dialed in to maximize our chances at one really big deer we're looking at. We had a big 4-year-old we had an encounter with last year. We also have a 7-year-old 10-pointer who's just older than dirt. I've been hunting for a couple years. So we're gonna pull a couple cutting back cards as well. I think he came back, but it was too early in the growth stage to tell, but we should be able to tell now. Sure hope we got some pictures of him at the end of the day, but the spot we're standing in now is kind of where it all started. I actually killed my first deer with a bow in this dead walnut tree over the shoulder, clear back in 2012, back before I knew anything was going on. And really what lit the fire for me. Go from that, then I ended up having a nice food plot over there where you can see the crimson clover coming up. And then me and my wife had an awesome hunt there. She had a 3-yard encounter with a deer we were trying to kill, and it's just been great. But with that, as you can see, we were accessing completely through basically where the deer wanted to be. And that just didn't quite work out, in the long run. So as we've learned, and as Drake came on here, I used to hunt clear down there, and he's like, hey, why don't you move the blind up here, move your food right here, and then you can use the corn and hill to access. You're down over the hill where you're isolated from the house, and the deer can just have a little pocket right here that's all to themselves. And then, so that's turned out awesome. The deer use this a ton more than they have.
The main thing that we've kind of been working on with this place is we don't have that much woods on this place. I mean, it's
100 acres, and we've got maybe 10 acres, 10 or 12 acres in total, and that's split up in fence rows, one tiny bit of timber on the south side, but otherwise it's just draws and ditches. I don't have a ton of good timber to hold the deer as far as, can say that a deer lives on me 100% of the time. Last year, what's behind us here was 6 acres of pasture. We had 40 head of horses growing up as a kid out here, and I just converted that to beans. So that's why we've went and we've been trying to put every drop of food we can on that buffet for them.
Doing what we can to hold them here, as well as like the deer transitioning through the farm. I mean, you can go into opening up all these ditch areas just to basically create the deer movement east and west has kind of been the big thing.
Yeah, because when we first hunted it, the deer are edge creatures, right? So we always were hunted, right here where I was hunting that fence line on my outside edge, and trying to maximize on a small farm scale those acres is huge. So the way I was hunting it before, maybe I was only hunting 10 acres of it when I was going clear to the edges, and so what I've done is by centralizing the food, and then through got a couple fence lines that run all the way through the property, and we went through with the skid steer, cut out all the trees and made it to where you can drive a truck through them in a couple of spots. And what that's done is it's given the deer more easy travel through the center of the farm. And deer are just like we are. They're gonna take the easiest route. And it's crazy when you open this stuff up. Like, one of the main projects from this spring was we opened up the ditch where we had an encounter with a really big deer we're looking for this year in an attempt to really make sure that we can capitalize on the encounter if we can make it happen again this year. So we're gonna head over there and kind of walk you through that setup here in a little bit.
There's something about it.
We used a big tree planter. We planted 3,900 shrubs this year, and I mean, we had probably 90% success. So hopefully we get a couple more good times of rain. All right, well, we made it over to the east side when we had the encounter with the big 4-year-old last year. Whew. Takes me back standing here. It's burnt into my memory. We had him come in through the east gap in the fence up here, kind of skirted the edge of this clover, went and checked the bedding area over here for does, pushed a couple out of it, and he worked the clover just as slow as he could all the way to this scrape tree. And that's what brings me to the main transformation we've been working on, is opening this gap he was gonna go through. And I had it basically one deer trail through there, and what it turned into is basically getting from here to that original plot we started in on the other side. And you know, as you can see, you could darn near drive a semi through here now, so I'm just trying to make it as inviting as I possibly can, just for those deer to go through it just as easy as pie. And the second I open this up, I move the cutty back from where we had it on this scrape tree, and they're just going through it every day. It's just a perfect spot. As I was saying earlier, from where we're standing, clear to my north fence line, this ditch is super, super steep, and there's a lot of trees and gunk growing up in there to where the deer just don't go through it very much at all. So it really focuses them down to this point right here. And then with all the new switchgrass, the new blind location, it's gonna allow us to be able to hunt this spot, which is definitely gonna be the best spot on the farm, more often, just because getting out of here is gonna be super easy. And this should be the mega highway on the property. All right, so as we come through that crossing, this all used to be old pasture, so I never had food here. So this is gonna be a new food plot. We came in and we sprayed it, and I planted the Monster Buck multi-year clover blend in it. I planted it like 2 months ago, and I got a good amount of clover coming up. I came in here 2 weeks ago, and I added a little bit of seed, because I was catching a good rain, and I sprayed clethodim on it to get those grasses out of here. Hoping to have a really lush stand of clover here for 2 reasons. One, I could potentially leave the clover, although I've got a gorgeous stand of Monster Buck multi-year back behind us. Or we can kill it off and run the stealth drill over it with Monster Buck rut greens and be just perfect. So we've got a lot of options on this specific plot for how we're gonna attack it here this fall. Whew. Yeah, the clover's looking pretty good in here. I mean, I would say it's 50, 60% right now. So if some of that seed I added here just a little while ago comes on, it's gonna be a pretty good stand of clover. We're coming up this hill. This is the exciting spot for me for a couple different reasons. This is where the new blind's gonna go. And basically I've got just a lot of things coming together in this spot. I've got all my old food plots. I've got the brand new opening. I've got a bunch of cedars growing around this tree, so I've got a perfect spot for a blind. And you know, there's a couple things that go into this. Being down here where we hunted the deer in the past from that red blind, you come down the hill a little far. I do have good access to it, but you're just coming down in with the deer. Where this new blind is located, now I can stay completely on the top of the hill from the house, slip in the blind, and I'm never going really crossing an area where the deer cross. With the house, we've got dogs up there. So basically from the pond to the house, the deer don't really, I'm not worried about them coming behind us. So over the years, just dialing in this property, and that's the way you learn it, is from hunting it. So where the red blind sits now, it's in a really good spot, but I think this spot's gonna be just a little bit better. With this pinch point we've created, the green to grain transition, we've got all of the ingredients we need to get a deer within bow range. As you can see, from the blind location to the other side of the trees here is like 35 yards. So if he comes through here, he's gonna be within bow range. It's gonna be awesome. The second part to this is that we did a 3.5 acre switchgrass planting this year, and I used 3 different varieties of switchgrass. I did the RC Sundance switchgrass that we can get from Monster Buck, and I also added some Sunburst and some RC Big Rock. Now I took the switchgrass all along the ag field, clear to the beans. What that's gonna allow us to do is once that switch gets up, even when the corn comes out, we can use that switchgrass to access this blind. And you know, once it gets to that 4 or 5 foot tall range, we can get in and out. We've also got the terrain being on top of the hill here, and we're gonna be able to hunt this blind without the deer ever knowing we're here. So that's gonna allow us to hunt it more often and you know, still not mess up the farm by boogering the deer. So we're excited about this one. This is gonna be fun, you know, and the culmination of the farm, you know, this is 7 years basically of putting this place together and doing the tweaks and everything to it, that I think this is gonna be the one spot on the farm that the other spots are good. This is gonna be phenomenal from a bow hunting perspective. We're just trying to make a small property hunt bigger, and for a longer part of the season, you know, we're so crazy about hunting that, you know, I'd love to go shoot my deer on the very first day that I go, but I'd also love to have good hunting for the entire season. So if we can accomplish that on a small property, that's what we're after.
Well, this is probably the most deer chores I've done all year. So kind of more excited about Justin's farm than my farm, to be honest. All the farms I have permission on. So we'll see. We got a couple deer that I'm looking for here in the upcoming weeks. I got a deer that I had a really good encounter with right at the end of bow season last year. We'll get cameras out on that one, and I'll definitely be out there to velvet film. That farm was corn last year, beans this year, so it ought to be loaded with deer. Tons of great cover around that farm. So it's more of an opportunity farm, more than, you know, a management farm per se. Don't know if you don't go, right? Gotta hunt them. Gotta hunt them. So we'll see. But at the moment, I'm more excited for Justin's season than my own, so it is what it is.
Anything coming down the pipeline from you?
Anything down the pipeline? We've been real busy here the last couple weeks doing, in the summer we try not to do a lot of TSI work. We'll do, you know, half acre bedding cuts, and that's kind of what we've been doing as far as our business Vitality Visions. A bunch of burns coming up, so.
If you could tell somebody, Drake, right now, what is it, it's June 19th, like we said, we're getting towards brassica season here. Anything people should be doing as far as prep, thought processes for seed blends, things like that?
I would probably be focused on burning down your green plots right now. You know, 4th of July is a good time, 2-3 weeks before, you get in there and plant the rut greens. Throw some oats in there, some clover. That'll be the first thing coming up next spring. So then you're already off to a good start with no weeds. Summer's kind of a slow time as far as like habitat management. You know, you're trying to not get into your stuff as much as you were, you know, kind of off season, but bedding cuts right now is big. Just make sure you're not dropping trees on your crop trees, on your oak trees, on your walnuts, whatever it is you want to keep. Don't drop your trees on that, so that we're very, very careful on what we're doing this time of the year, you know, with all the trees uptaking all the nutrients and everything like that. So adding acres to your farm is kind of Justin and I's saying as far as habitat management goes, just taking useless acres and converting them into useful acres.
As we were talking about earlier, you know, we've got not very much timber on this place at all. It's mostly a food farm and traveling through farms. So with that, I did a CRP planning here over the last couple of years, and it was a quail program. A CP38 is what it was. So it's a 30 forbs to 10 grasses mix. So basically, if you don't have a lot of those warm season grasses, it doesn't get super, super thick. So what we did was I did 6 rows of shrubs along the road, and it's got 9 bark, gray dogwood, red osier dogwood, wild plum, and a couple others. And what the goal is to create a fence, essentially, all along the road, just to keep the deer over here and keep them more comfortable in here. Because one of the other deer that we're hunting, you know, the big 10-pointer who's gonna be 7 years old this year, a lot of his time is spent just across the road, and he'll come over right at dark. And anyway, the reason he does that, there's a lot of cover over there, it's old pasture, and he's just hanging out all by himself. And if we can get that cover here just to make him more comfortable here, hopefully we can catch up with that deer this fall as well. I think it's always needed a tile so it stayed moist. So that's again why I wanted to do the clover here, just to have something growing all the time. Because sometimes it's too wet to even get this planted. It is heating up. It's getting to be about lunchtime here. We've got some regular work to get done here the rest of the day, but we've got a couple projects left to do on the farm. We're gonna do a little bit of clover maintenance, maybe move some cameras around just a little bit, but we are ready for season. Here at the end of July, we'll be getting our monster buck rut greens in the ground and whatever else we decide to do for our green plots this fall. But yeah, overall, it's awesome to be standing on this property. You know, I call it 7 years after I kind of started turning it into a deer farm. You know, clear back then, you know, I killed my first deer in 2012. My sister killed her first buck out here on the south side of the farm, and you know, just an absolute giant with crazy drops off his G2s, and it's all those little things that light the fire for you to make you want to make all these improvements to where when you have a situation like we have this year, where I've got a 4-year-old last year who's going to be an exceptional deer this year, praying he's alive, that we've got the farm set up to maximize our opportunity at that deer.
So basically with everything Justin has done here, it is just not a job for us. It is a 365 day a year, all day long. Me and Justin are thinking about things we can do not only on his farm, but all the other farms that we manage and we do projects on. So it's just making farms better, adding acres to your farm, any little thing that you can do, get on it. So if you guys have any questions on land management projects, need help on any projects, drop a comment below in the section. We'll get back to you. You can hit us up on the website, email us, and we'll get back to you. I'm ready to go check some cutting link cards here. So.
Is he gonna be back?
I think he's on it.
Let's find out.
I think he's on it. Christmas, June 19th.
I hope.
Oh, buddy.
Wasn't his right brow taller than the left brow?
That's the old one, I think. Oh God, no, that might be him.
It's a big frame, big brows.
Still early, still early. That's taller than him though, I think. I don't know, he kind of went up and out too.
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
Another couple weeks. Let him put on some inches. He'll be here or he won't.
Next card pull, when are we gonna do it?
Probably gonna be when greens go in, rain or shine, July 2-9, so 6 weeks of growth till we get to see again.
We appreciate y'all watching Midwest Whitetail. Hopefully we've got better pictures to show you next time around.